So, the AP system has changed again. I made a guide just a few days ago on how to, most well optimize your AP runs in order to be able to get Demigod, and it never seemed like it had ever been easier, but I thought that the reason why was because of a mistake that was made by the dev team when they opened up the leaderboard. It turns out I was right. A few days ago, well, a day ago, 2 days ago, they put out a patch that changed the AP system again, this time making it incredibly difficult to get Demigod because of how it was changed. And once again, I believe this to have been an error, and I actually have confirmation of this now. I sent a message to SDF, and he said, yes, AP should be adjusted. Just to recap how this works, I'm going to give you a brief rundown. So here we have my character sitting in the lobby. If you want to grind on the leaderboard, you have to go to High Roller specifically, and then enter a match which costs 100 gold and also has an AP cost based on your rank. When you go and look at your rank, depending on what rank you are, if you hit view details, it will tell you the cost of going into each of the different maps based on your rank. In my case, because I'm Voyager 1, I had been Exemplar 3, but I died, but we're not going to talk about that. To go into Goblin Caves is 500 AP. To go into Frost Mountain, it is 600. And to go into Howling Crypts, it is 600, or 550, I'm sorry, at Voyager 1 for my current rank. Now, if you notice, Exemplar 1 is 800 and Frost Mountain is also 800. And those are the two maps I would say give the greatest potential to be able to generate as much AP as possible in a certain given run. And the primary reason why is because there are certain things that you do on the map that give you AP. They have now changed what those certain things are. Typically, it had been kill everything. That gives you AP. Each monster that you kill gives a small amount. Each sub-boss gives slightly more. And obviously killing bosses gives even more than that. 150 AP for the bosses in Goblin Cave, 200 AP for the bosses on Crypts, and 250 AP for killing Frost Wyvern on High Roller. Remember, I said this is all High Roller stuff. Secondarily, there is interacting with props. Doors, wall torches give like 1 point each. But primarily, it's opening chests, especially the big ones that require lockpicks, like Iron Head chests and the golden chests, magnificent chests, those kinds of things. There was also the inclusion of treasure. Now, treasure is a unique one because we weren't supposed to have treasure AP count. But the fact that they have now, based on the patch that they did just a couple of days ago, taken out the treasure AP that they said that they were going to take out originally, it has become incredibly hard to generate AP again. This is a screenshot of what I would consider to be an extremely optimized run. You'll have to forgive my inclusion of Paint 3D here, but it just made it easy for me. Notice here at the bottom it says that there's treasure AP accounting to 1,213 points. There's also an awful lot of work being done here on a Crypts run. There is 130 monster kills and assists. There's a few sub-boss kills. This probably could have been higher. There is 1 boss kill for 66 AP. There is 128 prop interactions. And then we have 38 items and 36 pieces of treasure. Notice also the dungeon down portal. This is the use of a dungeon down portal for 100 AP, which is why I say you go to Frost or you go to Crypts, because the down portal is worth a lot of AP, a good bonus. This total came out to 2,104, but now treasure is no longer being included, which means that instead of 2,104, it's now 891. Now remember, I said in order to be able to go in, if you're Exemplar 1, now people may say that their cutoff is blue or purple, and if you're able to do really well optimized runs and you just want to get to purple or to gold, then great. Get to Exemplar and you've met your goals. But most people, I think, are still going to try to grind for Demigod, and they want to know that if they run the run really well, repeatedly, they can get to Demigod after some amount of time. That's true in this case, but barely, because in order to be able to make that run in the first place to get to Demigod, it's a slog. Let's go back to the AP entrance fee. Remember, this is 800 AP just to get into Exemplar 1. That means that in this perfectly optimized run, I netted 91 points. That means between Exemplar 1 and Demigod, which is 4,000 points, I have to run that more than 40 times in a row, perfectly optimized, just to make that one rank. That is days of grinding, regardless of how much time you have to play the video game. Normal people, this would take weeks just to be able to get one rank. And if you die, you're setting yourself back 9 runs, perfectly optimized runs, that's an entire evening plus. Because one perfectly optimized run takes 24 minutes. If you're really min-maxing it, it's 12 minutes in one dungeon and 12 minutes in the second one. Normal average Joe that's going to be able to play maybe 2 hours a night gets 4 of those. You got to have loot time, right? You got to offload stuff to the goblin vendor. You got to wait for the map to cycle back around so that you can go in again solo with your boys, whatever. And in a solo run, you're probably not pulling off those numbers. Those numbers are typically generated with a team. Now, the silver lining in this is that I believe this needs to be changed. My suggestion is to input or include gear again. Going back to this list, notice that it says that there is item achieve 38, but it says 0. That is 2 categorical things. Items that were taken out of the dungeon that weren't considered treasure. So utility items like campfires and torches and potions, Francesca axes, musical instruments, and jewelry actually was in this category too. Gave a small amount of AP, between 1 and 5 AP per item, based on its rarity. That got taken out. Gear, wearable items like swords and armor, weapons and armor, were considered to give AP based on how much money they sold for to a vendor. Those also got removed. My suggestion was to put the wearable stuff, the gear, weapons and armor, put that stuff back into the AP pool. That way, if you had an inventory, like through PvP or whatever, you found like a good blue, good purple that you wanted to carry out of the dungeon in order to maximize resale value so that you made some money, whatever. Selling that stuff off to the vendors would net you like a little bit of money, but it was nowhere near as good as treasure. This way, inputting it gives you like a small bolus of AP, maybe a couple of 100 points. Now that would end up making the difference. In my opinion, that would make up a difference, so that instead of needing 40 runs, maybe you end up needing like 15. The other alternative would be to reduce the AP cost to enter the dungeon. Because now, like, let's say it's just based around activity, that's fine. They just need to reduce the cost of entering the dungeon, especially at the higher ranks. Have everything kind of truncated a bit so that it's 300 points or 200 points less when you're running around at Exemplar 1 than what it is right now for the entry fee. That way, at least, you have the ability to make up the difference and get the Demigod grind done. It's going to take some repetition, but it's in the doing. You could achieve it. There is also PvP kill inclusion in here in AP2. It was bugged. The bug was that when you killed someone, sometimes it just gave you 0, which is why we were all so confused. Like, the code wasn't reading that way, the data mine stuff wasn't reading that way, but we had multiple reports, regardless of rank, that people were just getting 0 AP. In the patch notes, this was confirmed to be a bug, and they fixed it. So now it's all based on rank, based on however many rungs on the ladder you are away from your opponent. The lower ranked opponent gets bonus AP for killing a higher ranked person, and the higher ranked person gets an AP penalty, gets less for killing a lower ranked person. It ends up bottoming out somewhere around like 50 to 60 AP, somewhere around there. And on the high end, you can get nearly 200. It just depends on how far away each person is. There is no gear-based matchmaking for the dungeon or skill-based matchmaking, rank-based matchmaking currently, by the way. People that are neophyte that are going in for the first time will be grouped with people that are veterans and have done this 1,000 different times. It just ends up being the luck of the draw. It's a mixed bag, open field. And for those of you wondering whether or not the devs have acknowledged this, they have. In a DM I sent to SDF, I mentioned this idea of bringing back gear. He responded that the AP system would be adjusted. He didn't say that they were going to use my idea, but he did agree that the AP system was a little bit too tight. So there you have it. For those of you that still want to end up running HR to try and see if you can squeak out a few more rank points before the AP system is changed again, by all means, go nuts. But it does look like this will be eased, hopefully in the next hotfix. So maybe next week, we'll end up seeing a little bit of an adjustment. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for this one. Thanks so much for coming and checking it out. If you wouldn't mind subbing the channel, if you end up enjoying the content, the information that I provide, I would really love that. That would be amazing. Otherwise, you can come and check me out live. I'm usually live every day around 5:30 to 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over at twitch.tv/Onepeg. Otherwise, I suppose I will see you in the next video. Thank you guys so much for lending me your eyeballs. We'll see you soon, okay, everybody? Peace.